Hi, I'm Alan Murdoch. For the past 20 years, I've been buying, fixing, and selling properties right here in Southern Arizona. And I want to buy your property. Whether it's a house, apartment, commercial building, or vacant land, regardless of the condition or the situation, I want to talk to you. When you sell to me, I pay cash and it's hassle-free. No repairs, no closing costs, and no commissions. If you have a property you don't want to deal with and you want a quick solution, call, text, or visit selltalon.com. Again, that's selltalon.com.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, coppercreekcookies.net.
We can print anything on our soft vanilla logo cookies. We deliver them and other sweet treats locally. We are located at 4249 West Ina Road, Suite 121. Call us 520-300-1131. We bake smiles.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, coppercreekcookies.net.
Welcome back to another episode of Now You Know / the Chris DeSimone Show.
Wow, that's cute that you say such things. I'm living the dream.
Yes, we are. Boom. Love it.
Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you. Hey, we were getting warmed up before we went live here, but
it's true.
What you got today, Chris?
We've hammered the education thing a lot, which we're going to keep doing.
I was just going to say, and we're not going to stop.
We're slouching towards a thing called America's Road Back.
Yeah.
Faith, family, and schools. I think that's.
Yeah.
I was just hanging out with Bruce Ash this morning. He did the show with me, Wake Up Tucson, and we were talking about
KVOI.
Thank you. If we have everything goes our way, because we lean conservative Republican, in the next, how long does that last? Mm-hmm. How long does the effect of that last? And it's temporary, as you can just see on how elections go. Whether you believe they're on the up and up or not, this is where we're at.
Yeah.
Right? This is where we're at. So the road back is faith, family, schools. If you think America's lost, if you think society's lost, this is where it's at, because everything, you're going to keep hearing me say it like a broken record. Everything that we complain about is downstream from culture, right? Yep. Faith, family, schools,
yep.
Right, is the way to come back from that. And of course, and also, you say, well, entertainment's a mess, or politics is a mess, right? Or all of these different things, churches or schools. It all comes from broken people.
Absolutely.
that came through a weak version of faith, family, and schools, or none of some, or not even a positive effect off of that.
My kids over the years, especially when they were younger,
Yep.
it was always about, well, Dad, you keep saying the same things, and I'm like, at the end of the core values never change.
True.
And they haven't since the beginning. Throughout history, core values never change. David and I were talking yesterday. How do we solve these ills? Faith, family, and schools.
So
right? I mean, it's the problems are difficult. I get it.
2,000 years ago, Jesus talked about building your house on that strong, rock hard foundation.
Yeah. Has that changed?
No.
Is it ever going to change?
No.
Are we going to build our house on the sand?
Sure we are. Not us.
Not us.
We're going to try our best not to. But as society,
yes.
Right? And we talk about sand, right? What does sand do, right? Sand, it moves around, right? It pushes here, it gets pushed by water, you kick it with your feet, it moves and forms around, right? Mm-hmm. Well, isn't that kind of what we're doing?
Yeah.
Right? We're letting these forces of politics, bad education, Hollywood, right? Push us around spiritually.
And I'm sure you would agree with this, because it comes off sometimes like we're upset or we're hurt. People like you and I are hurt because people just don't embrace love for each other and care for each other and looking out for each other.
But I'm very disappointed.
I'm hurt. I'm hurt. Not personally. I'm not hurt personally.
Right.
But I just know that if you and I work together, despite hey, I was thinking about how different you and I are the other day.
Right.
You grew up in New York.
Yep.
On the busy streets, right? I grew up in Opdyke, Illinois. Population 200. And yet we were in the same everything I saw was just smaller than what you were dealing with.
So how long were your parents married?
42 years. And they would still be married today if
Same
my
here.
father was still alive.
Right? Same with me. It's parents that stayed together.
Yeah.
Loved each other, raised a family. And then the idea was teaching you, the classic golden rule, right? 10 Commandments.
Let me ask a question. Did your mother work outside the house?
She did, but not early.
Yeah.
So when we got to kind of the middle school-esque age, she was home for, from birth and through middle school. And then she was an amazing she actually was trained to be a in those days we called them secretary. If you say that, I'm sure they'd be yelled at. All right. But she was an assistant to a vice president of Saks Fifth Avenue in those days. And then she had a family. And then, then she became an amazing real estate salesperson for Century 21 in the 80s. She was $1 Million Round Table, all that stuff.
I'm a Century 20 guy.
Look at that.
Round
Crazy.
table. Millions.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, one of the reasons I'm in Arizona is because her and my dad went to the $1 Million Round Table celebration in 1987 in San Diego. And we almost talked about moving to Phoenix, and so they stopped by, like, on our way back from San Diego, we're going to stop at this place called Tucson. We've heard about it. And then they were giving us the call from Tucson. Hey, guys, we're all good, very good. Put a down payment on a house, moving here in 5 months. Say what? Right. And then also, I went to good schools. Right. I went to a school district, Clint, that I don't know if this beast even exists anymore. And it's the type of beast I went to. So I went to a place called New Hyde Park, New York on Long Island, as we like to say. And it was established in the 60s as a union-free school district. So somehow legally they created an entity. I don't know if because they were running from New York City in those days, right? They created an entity that you were not allowed legally to have any teachers unions.
So that was in the 90s?
60s.
They
started.
When you started.
I went
you
to
were going
school, mid-70s through late 80s.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to tell you something. We were one of the best school districts in the entire state. My parents got way more money, and there was no open enrollment in those days. So my parents got a huge bonus on their house when they sold it because we're in that school district.
I want to jump back to the women. My mother, when we were kids growing up, worked at home like crazy and built a home and all that. But as she got older and we got older, she's a workaholic still to this day. And so I'm not disparaging women working. I think that's great. My sisters, my wife, they're all professionals. What I was going for at that time was the fact that one salary, usually the father's, could maintain a middle-class life, a nice car or two, and vacations, and a nice house.
Yep.
Yeah, that's out.
Well, again, it's tough.
That's out.
Now,
that's part of the problem, too.
What I don't get is I have the couple, and they both make $16 an hour, and they have a young kid, and they send the kid to daycare for $14 an hour. Well, what are we doing? Right? So you're basically having your kid raised by strangers so you can make an extra $2 an hour on the net?
Well, here's what Tammy
Probably
and
less
I
after
did.
we take the taxes out.
Here's what Tammy and I did. We sat down when our first we were going to have our first child. Tammy's a teacher. She started an in-home preschool license through the state of Arizona.
Yep.
Charged preschool. It wasn't babysitting. It was preschool. We're going to learn her alphabet. And so she had whatever she could have, 4, 5, 6 kids. Our daughter was born a couple of years later. She actually made, because we looked at it and we're like, actually, we're going to be negative by sending our kid to a preschool or daycare.
Right.
And you working. Or one of us working. I mean, both of us working.
Right.
And I, at that time, maybe had a little more earning power. And so
So we're gonna take this back a step now.
Okay.
I call this the Christy Simone vicious cycle of marriage.
We're going to do.
Okay. And so I am happily married
How long?
28 years.
32.
All right.
So we got it. We
she's
got this.
amazing.
Yes.
And I love her.
Yes.
But I'm going to tell you something. What I've learned. So when people say, "Oh," when we talk about, you'll hear people talk about population control, abortion's great, all these things, right? I'm going to take it before that, and I'm not going to. And I'm a pro-life Catholic Christian, all right? I think too many people are getting married, and I'm going to tell you why. So what happens is no one has a right to be married, none of that jazz. All right, I got the love. I'm there with the love thing. I got it. All right, but let's talk about where are we at on the divorce rate right now? Right, still got to be somewhere between 50 and 60%.
And the ones that renew their vows after 20 and 15 years,
right?
It's like that doesn't work. I'm like, stay away from that. You're rolling the dice twice.
So believe it or not, I'm an online reverend. All right, I perform weddings, but I don't.
I do too.
It has to be God-centered, no atheists. It's the way I roll. I just feel like this is the right part of the foundation of a good marriage. And so this is what I see. Here's the vicious cycle of marriage. We're dating. I got it. Hopefully, no one got pregnant during that, before marriage, but stuff can happen. But okay, so we're dating. Now about a year, right? And then there's that kind of crap or get off the pot moment. Now, usually it comes from the woman's side. Sorry, ladies. It usually does. No guy ever says, man, I got to jump into this marriage.
Or outside sources.
That's true too, right?
I've seen that happen.
Oh, of course.
Up close.
Have you not seen
Well-intentioned, probably.
Well,
Hey,
what usually
you
happens
guys
is
are-
the boy or the female are sitting with their buddies or their siblings or their parent, usually the mother, and says,
Or a pastor.
right, hey,
Or
when are you going to get
clergy.
married,
Yeah.
right? And so what happens is the husband, so the Blood Diamond guys in South Africa, the De Beers Diamond Company does that commercial, you should be blowing 2 months' salary on your wedding, on your ring, right?
Yeah.
Now, we could have a whole argument about that, but there we are. So what happens is we got to get engaged now.
Yeah.
Now engagement's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun as hell,
Yeah.
right? A
My
romantic
fiancé.
place. Where did you engage? Where'd you propose to your wife? Oh, she's not watching right now.
Yeah.
Who knew I was going to stump you?
You know
You're
what?
usually never stumped.
I'll tell you, it was probably on a phone call.
Dave, you
Not
remember where
long
you
after we
proposed
met.
to your wife,
You
right?
remember, David?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I really don't, although it was probably a series of proposals.
Did she say no?
No.
I don't know. You said serious.
No,
I thought
I
she
think
said
it
no
was
the
just-
first 3 times.
Although, yes. First divorce rate, David Samorano, bless you for being there. 50%, still at 50%. Second and beyond messages or marriages, 75%.
Gotcha.
So if that first one doesn't work and it's 50-50, you got no chance.
You got
after that.
75% failure on the second time.
Yeah.
So I proposed my wife at a Yes concert at Desert Sky Pavilion, but that's a whole other story.
And you know the time and place. Time, place, date. You got the ticket stub.
I do. Now here's the thing. So you get proposed. You get engaged, and as you said, the word fiance is great.
Yeah.
Right. But now, 98% of us, we're just planning a party.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the real world, so I had a relative of mine who was studying to be a Catholic priest. Also a lifelong vocation, like being married.
Mm-hmm. Well, you are to the church.
That's what you're supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
And so they use this crazy word over and over again called discernment, right? Discernment weekend, discernment week, discernment month, discernment. And it's the idea that we're really asking you 8,000 times, and you're going to ask yourself, is this your thing? So I remember when I asked my dad, Bobby, he's the best, and I asked him before I proposed to my wife, I said, Dad, I'm thinking about proposing to my fiance at the time. And he says, is she your best friend on the planet?
You know what? I called my father and asked him, what did you know or how did you know?
Yep.
The mom was the one. And you know what he said?
What?
Exactly what you just said.
So he said,
is she your
best friend on the planet?
Is this going to be
is
your
what he said.
partner? Is this your best friend? And can she be your partner?
Number 2, do you like her family? Can you live with her family?
Yeah.
Right? He said, literally, if let's say something happened that, God forbid, not that it's going to happen, but even if you went on vacation for a month and you were in a vacation rental, could you enjoy that? And also, can you guys share money together? He started to get a little more practical on the way down, right? But these are things you should be discerning.
Absolutely.
I mean, how many married couples do you know that they both have separate accounts?
I know them.
I do financial planning with my brother at Blue Chip Planning, and it's amazing. These people who have been married for 30, 40 years both have separate accounts.
You know, the other thing,
which is that's your thing, but
I love this that they're able to do it, but political ideologies are polar opposites, and I'm like, whew. God bless you.
Yeah. So now we got more of the vicious cycle of marriage to go through. So what happens is we're planning parties. We're not discerning whether or not this is my best friend. We're not discerning if we can do money together.
Yeah.
Right? We're like, is this mini chimneys or mini quiche? Right? I mean,
hey, you got the menu out in there, David?
Are we really going to do a vegetarian option for the damn food? Because come on, for the one, hippie cousin, they go to hell. Right? Eat the crudité the entire rest of the night. Then we got to, can Aunt Janice sit next to Uncle Sam?
Right.
We got that.
That's the biggie.
I'm telling you.
How are we pulling in these people?
Oh, it's huge.
Oh, that's the biggie.
Oh,
Should we invite are they on the list? No, I can't stand your uncle.
It's like negotiating the Treaty of Versailles is trying to figure out who's sitting next to each other. All right, so we do that. Everyone, we got our chimichangas and our quiche. We got our cake. We got all that stuff. So then we get married. It's like a surreal dream day. Yeah. You're in I before I knew it, we were in a hotel room that night, and we had a beautiful wedding, cathedral downtown, Christmas time. We had a great party. I had 50 relatives from out from New York. It was fun. Surreal. It's like living in a dream that day, and we're married. Mm-hmm. Okay. It was great, but it's a dream. It's like a surreal dream. So now we're married. Now it gets fun. Mm-hmm. Now we have sex without guilt. Turn away, Pastor Collins. Okay. But that's what happens.
Right.
I'm sorry. That's just, there's no more sneaking off into the desert. There's no more car stuff. There's none of that jazz that you all went through.
They created the spark in the first place.
Don't lie to me and tell me you didn't do it. Oh.
He's throwing it all over the place in here.
Look at this. I've never done this before.
Lift it up.
Okay, we're good now. All right. So I got all excited. I'm knocking over microphones like Ric Flair here. Now, Nature Boy. Now, so what happens is, now we're having sex. Guess what happens?
Yeah.
Someone's getting pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you're looking for it. Sometimes you're not looking for it, right?
Yeah.
Now, what happens is, you got kids. Remember your first kid? Right? So remember, when you have your first kid, your wife's pregnant, she's got the glow, we're going to the doctor, all this jazz. When did the moment of true responsibility hit you in the head, Clint? When was that moment where you said, holy crap, there's another life depending on me? When was that moment?
Probably during the birth. In my case, because of the circumstances, that was, I'd say...
It hit
actually
me,
pre-birth because of the circumstances, but in that
it hit me just before birth, which is our son was born. Our firstborn was born at St. Joe's Hospital. We head over there. My wife's she's at her contractions and all that. Mm-hmm. But remember, up until that point, I just got to make sure she's great.
Yeah, right.
Right? Are you eating right?
Yeah.
Are you taking your little vitamins?
Yeah.
We're cool. I don't got to do anything.
Yeah.
I'm
David is like fresh off of this.
absolutely.
He's cranking on
And I went to every Obgyn appointment. I did it all.
yeah.
All right. But I didn't have to do anything. It's all on her. First kid was born in September, so she got to be amazingly pregnant in August.
Yeah.
I was just kidding with her. We were up in Phoenix this weekend. It wasn't that hot, but it was hot enough.
Yeah.
And there was a girl about her size, my wife's kind of lithe, as we say, but amazingly pregnant, right? And I go, what kind of nut would be that pregnant in August? And she punched me at that point, right? But so what happens is now, mine was when the nurse at St. Joe's handed me a stack of paper to fill out. And I'm going, holy crap.
Yeah.
There's a life.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you something. If you haven't figured it out up until that point, you haven't done the discernment that you are truly strong together. He or she is your best friend, and you can do all those other things. That child is a truckload of responsibility. And if you're not strong together, you know what happens? Stress levels multiply.
How about this? I think most married couples fight about three things: sex, money, and the kids. I don't think there's really any other thing that a married couple, you're going to argue about the yard? Because usually it's one that's doing it.
Well,
sex, money, and how you're going to parent.
I think the other thing is that they forget that it was the two of you together before anybody else. And they let those roles supersede the relationship that you have with each other. That's what I've seen, right? As long as I'm a parent, I don't have to do that anymore, right? I've seen husbands who, as long as I bring the money home, I'm good.
Yeah.
Right? I'm the bacon winner kind of thing. I've seen that crap before. Yeah. So then what happens is when the kids, now we get the empty nest. Guess what happens? They're like, oh, we're stuck together? And you see these weird divorces
Isn't that
when they're in their
crazy?
50s.
Or 70s.
Or well, that's different. But you see that thing because what happens is you weren't working on what brought you together in the first place.
I've seen that way too many times.
And so you see people go, Bob and Janice got divorced.
They were married 42 years.
Or whatever. Or it's 2 years after their firstborn's age. I see that. Right? So when I talk about...
That's tough right there.
Oh, it is. But
the other end...
So when you're talking about that working mom relationship, right? And the idea of one of them staying home, what happens is my argument is that if I could keep 40% of the people from getting married who shouldn't have got married, I could solve a lot of the world's problems.
How about this one? Having been through a couple of, we've all been, well, not all of us, but I've been through a couple of bad relationships, just girlfriend stuff.
Sure.
Not many, because I never stick around long enough, if you will, to get to that bad place and time. But the reality of
the
it
wanderer,
is,
the wanderer.
The point is, there are worse things in life than being alone, and one of them's being with the wrong person.
Sure.
Why would you spend? That doesn't mean you can't have friends, but I'm talking about next level.
How many men or
Come
women
on.
that you've seen in your life are with this person because it's just convenient and they have that comfortable?
It's a lot.
I have a friend of mine who, from freshman year at NAU through, I don't know, possibly 5 years ago. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, his relationship was he'd always stick around a relationship too long.
Right.
Because it was comfortable.
Yeah.
I got somebody.
I don't get that.
Oh,
We're wasting each other's time. You could be off doing your thing. I can be off doing.
No one
my
wants to be
thing.
alone. Some people would rather be
I
together
don't have
and
a problem with
miserable.
that. Do you have a problem being
No.
alone? I mean, I've got a wife and kids and
And
family and friends that I
I'm
love.
a social SOB. All right, I'm all over the place.
But I have no problem spending an hour or 2 hours with
And it also
myself.
matters what that person's upbringing is.
Yeah.
So the person that I'm talking about who always has to have somebody, only child.
Yeah. You would think they'd be accustomed to that.
They're sick of it.
Yeah. You know, I really I think you should spend as much time like if I'm driving to Phoenix by myself right now.
Yep.
I'm probably not even turning the radio on. for quite a while anyway. I want to just enjoy the scenery, kind of. That's when your real creative juices start flowing, was you just let it flush out.
Right.
Right? It's not boring. It's fun.
I
can crank it up to 10, too. Don't get me wrong.
My brain's amazingly overactive.
Yeah.
And I can think of 14 things in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And so for me, sometimes I like the distraction. That's where I've gotten in my life, where it's either music or a podcast or some of my soccer stuff that I listen to. It's really a distraction because my mind
is still go. Oh,
that's
now, if you come in my office at home, there's usually something on the TV. Perry Mason episode that I've seen 800 times or something like that playing. Rockford's what I'm doing right now.
Rockford's always a good thing.
Yeah.
But I think so when we talk about faith, family, and schools, and we'll talk about family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there's too many people that rush into marriage.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
What happens is, to me, what I see is that those people, they have 1 to 3 kids. Then it falls apart, and then I have 1 to 3 kids who got challenges.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not their fault. Right?
You know what I always told my kids? Now, one's married, one's not, and they're 28 and 30. You're only looking for one. And so don't be in a hurry, first off.
Sure.
Find yourself first.
Oh, that's
experience
important. Do
something
I got
life.
married kind of youngish, all right?
I was 35 or 34.
I was 24
Yeah.
when I got married.
Neither one are bad ages.
I don't necessarily recommend it. It worked out great for me and our family. But to me, I have kids in my early 20s now, and with everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, just go try everything. We had this discussion before. You'll find the right person will.
They'll show up sooner or later.
Keep your eyes open. Be open to things.
Our son-in-law is awesome. Derek, shout out to Derek. He really is awesome.
That's not what he told me before the cameras came on.
Well, and I'm telling you that after the cameras are off. But he really is. And I don't want to call my daughter out or anything, but she was like, at times when all of her girlfriends were running through boyfriends and 14 and 15. And it was because my daughter was choosing not to accept relationship offers. It wasn't like boys weren't around. I mean, my goodness, my house was full of boys and girls. But I'm like, you're only looking for one. And you don't even need to be looking for them. I'm talking when they're 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. Slow down.
We're never, not never. So rarely is that kind of training going on.
Yeah, slow down. Take your time.
Right? That relationship training, who's teaching that?
Yeah.
Right now, sad to say, it's whatever crap they're finding on the internet or Hollywood's teaching them.
Right.
That's the problem, right?
Absolutely.
Because guess who's abdicated their roles in relationship management education? Yeah. Parents, schools, and churches.
I would put them in reverse order. Churches, parents, and school.
Right.
Or parents, churches, and school, somewhere in that order.
I mean, especially churches. If you let's just think practical, right? You want happiness for your parishioner, right? At the same time, you'd like that person to find someone who's also, whatever you are, Christian, Muslim, whatever you want out there, Jewish, and find another one like them, get married and have 2 or 3 kids and, create more parishioners, right? But we don't have that discussion, right? So we send these kids, we send them sexually.
Right.
With no knowledge.
Right.
But even just on basic relationship stuff.
We're going to talk about this in faith, family, and schools, America's Road Back. But that would be like I'm going to ask the $64 million question. Why can't we, as a group of people, realize the importance and the simplicity of this and just talk about it all the time? I know it's boring, but it's the only way you can fix stuff.
So in the end, and I appreciate that you put the churches first, and I'll tell you why. It's because the parents have if the parents aren't educated by their parents, that's where it really should be kind of happening, right? Mm-hmm. Each generation is trying to do it their best way. That's in a perfect world. That's not always going to happen, right? But even the churches do a horrible job teaching their parents how to parent in a way, right? It's like,
And
hey,
when we say the church, we're talking about it in its entirety. There are exceptions,
of course,
to the rule in there, but we need to be as
but I'm
a
going to tell you something.
church
A church
doing
that's
it.
actively helping parents and teaching them like how to parent a little bit or whatever. Now they exist. I'm not saying
They're
they don't.
rare.
Yeah, but
They're rare.
they're amazingly rare. That's the thing.
And you know
right?
what? It doesn't do any good really to have a once a year seminar or work class.
So I don't know how it
workshop.
works in the
It needs to be like regularly.
in the
Are you talking to your kids about these?
So
remember the TV commercial that used to come on when we were young? Every night. Do you know where your kids are?
I remember.
Every night.
I do.
Because tomorrow is no different than yesterday and the day before. You need to know where your kids are.
I don't know how it works at a non-Catholic Christian church, but what happens is sometimes you have the young person goes to college, blah, 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 and I bet 20% of them still kind of go to church at that point, right, after they get away from their parents. But then they get married, have a baby, and they go, either they want to get married in the church or definitely have the kid baptized in the church. So now at the church, you now have mom, dad, and baby. Right, here's a great place. You know, and what I see is Catholic churches say, "Oh, thanks for the $200 for paying for your baptism space. Here's your kid, bing," and you go out, right, and then maybe you'll bring the kid back for religious ed in 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, what the hell's that?
Yeah.
Right, you got them right there. They're starving for knowledge. Starving because there's an 88% chance their parents have left them unprepared for their role as a parent.
See, Chris, that's the key. People want it, especially children. They want to grow and be knowledgeable. They want to test the boundaries.
They also want discipline.
Yes, they do.
And
Yes,
by
they
discipline, I'm not talking about Lou Gossett Jr. and
No.
but
What was that?
Officer and a Gentleman.
The Officer and Gentleman, yeah.
Right? They want boundaries, right? They want rules. They do. I see it. I saw it as a club soccer coach. I coached some little league before that, but I saw it where I and my coaches, we were providing boundaries, and the kids liked it.
Yep.
But I had parents who sometimes would kind of struggle against me because they didn't have any boundaries at home.
I have a great friend that sat right there in that desk and said how important that was. That he had a rough, turbulent, I think was the word he used, home life.
Yep.
He couldn't wait to get to the Little League field.
Yes.
The cool thing about this guy, he was just retired early. I won't blow the cover right now, but he's now the CEO of an aerospace company.
So
how cool is that?
That's amazing.
You and in that position, not you, maybe you literally, but that's a game changer for this person's life.
So I'm going to tell you this story. This one, I'll always remember this one to the day of about we're providing structure and boundary at sports that the kid had none at home. So this is T-ball, right? 5, 6 years old, right? And I had this one kid, and he was bigger and stronger than any of the kids. Like he was a 10-year-old in a 6-year-old's body, right? He was like the Incredible Hulk of T-ballers. And he was a nice kid, but he had no boundaries at home. Dad was a librarian and mom was a psychology professor at the University of Arizona. Yeah. And I remember his mom had a beautiful head of reddish hair, and I'll tell you why this comes in play. So this kid was strong, but he had no discipline. But at the same time, like you'd have a catch with him. You're having catch with a 6-year-old. You're what? I don't know, 10 feet away. And you know what he would do? He couldn't concentrate on throwing the ball anywhere near you. He would, like, if you're 10 feet there, he'd throw it 50 feet that way. All right?
Good arm, just no accuracy.
Not even an interest in being accurate. So what happened was, I said, well, how are we going to, you could say, hey, let's say his name's James. James, throw the ball at me. No, near me. Somewhere near me. And he'd go 50 feet that way, 30 feet that way, all this stuff. So I said, all right, here's the new rule. If you throw a ball again that's nowhere near me, I want you to run as hard as you can and go get it. He goes, okay. Right? So after about 8 of those, he's gassed. Next ball, right to me.
Yeah.
Right? So, next practice, we're going to do this again. Because he could be a force for good because he's such an athlete, right? First couple, he starts going off again. So he just runs. Yeah. He didn't care.
Yeah, he knows.
Like Barry Allen, the Flash. Right?
Coach Christopher said, go get it.
Corner of my eye, I see the red hair. Right? And what happened was it was tormenting her that her son had to run full speed and get the ball. So she was going to get the ball for him. I can see her go, Tammy, back to your seat. Back to your seat.
Yeah.
But no. And so, believe it or not, by the time we got to the end of that season, that kid could throw 90% of those balls near somebody, which I thought was a win.
Yeah.
But that's what I saw, right, is I ran into parents that were raising kids with very little boundaries. Yeah. And we were, we did crazy things like we expect you to be on time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We expect you to not waste my time, my coach's time, or more importantly, your fellow teammates' time.
Yeah, and get along with each other, root for each other.
Where the parents were just like, whoa, this is a little harsh, don't you think, Coach?
Hey, we're going to do like a whole we'll probably do a whole series around Little League parents and travel ball
don't
parents
get me started.
and stuff. Yeah.
Did I ever tell you my idea to fix Little League parents?
No.
All right, it's $1 million, and you should do it. We'll do it together because you guys.
Because I've got the resources to make this happen.
Yeah, you guys are so good. It's easy. Everyone's got a cell phone, right? So what I want to do is we're going to do a website, the three of us. I'm giving up the secret sauce right now. Right. We'll probably edit this out later. Sportsparentsgonecrazy.com. And what we're going to do is we'll make it you upload your videos.
Yeah.
We can make it a YouTube page, however we figure out how to monetize this. Correct. YouTube's probably the way to go. Okay. And what we do is we're going to do that, and we're going to take any of the ad revenue we make in the first year, and we're going to take part of it, and we're going to give it away to Sports Parent Nut of the Year. First of all, the idea that there's a website that collects crazy sports parents, people will go to it.
Yeah, they will.
And then, but here's the thing, it's the ultimate control device is this. So if they know, because they could be Sports Nut of the Year, that there's 5 parents that are going to whip the phone out and get you, not only we could make dough, because human nature will never totally correct itself, but I'm telling you something, you'll have people saying, I don't want to be on video, I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
Because I've coached club soccer and Little League baseball. Club soccer has some challenges with parents. Baseball's the worst.
That's all I've ever coached.
Little League baseball is the worst place you can have your kid play a sport. That's what I learned.
When I coached, we didn't really have too many. We had problems, don't get me wrong. But we had boundaries, starting with the parents. I can handle the kids. Boundaries for the parents. If you can't adhere to this, then your kids. When this is club ball, this isn't Little League. So, the stuff I've seen, Chris.
So I had
a lot of it's criminal.
I had 2 control devices on my parents. Right during practice, if the kid has to be wasting our time. That's the number one sin. Coach Chris's practice. Don't waste our time. You don't have to be the greatest athlete. You don't have to whatever.
No.
Just don't waste our time and have at least some sort of kind of a disposition you want to get better. Wherever you are, our thing was if you're here, we'd like you to be here by the end of the season. If you're here, we'd like you to be here by the end of the season. Just want that.
By the way, that's our critiquing of the people that we hang with, isn't it? We want to hang with people that are trying to get better.
Correct.
No matter what age.
So what would happen is, if the kid wasted time during practice, I get the old clipboard out, call up Mom.
Yeah.
Hi, Linda. It's Chris. I need you to come get Jimmy. What happened? He's just wasting everyone's time through his bad behavior. So he'll be waiting for you to pick up. Bye-bye. Yeah. Right? Now, guess where Janice is? Linda. Linda's shopping at Ross.
Right.
This is her 90 minutes break from being a parent.
Yeah.
And going to go buy some discounted blouses over at Ross and some shoes. I got it. I'm there. Go for it. Reward yourself with these little things, right?
But I'm not babysitting your
So what
kid.
happens is, at 100% of the time, the kid walks with his head down across the field to mom. Mom talks to kid. Kid comes back and says, "I'm sorry, I'll never do it again." And guess what happened? He never does it again.
Yeah.
So my other control device on parents was always the classic. Not that I ever had them in my hands, but in my duffel bag, I'd have the clipboard with the roster and the whistle, which I never used the whistle ever. Right? I'm like the dog whisperer. We don't whistle. We just go. Right? And so I literally, in the middle of the game, would walk up to the parent who was overcritical to me or any of my coaches, and I'd hand them the whistle and the roster, and I go, "This is awesome, thank you." Well, what are you doing? You're coaching, buddy. I'm going to sit it back with you, and I'm gonna have a refreshing beverage while you coach. Thank you. And then they're like, no, Coach Chris.
Yeah, no. I got drafted to umpire up here at Arthur Pack.
That's a rough gig.
Waiting for an umpire. He was on the way. Couldn't get there. They're like, "Hey, Clint, can you jump in here?" And I'm like, "Nah, that's not my bag. I have great deal of respect for anybody that put on the blue, good or bad."
It's a tough job, man. Even more and more today.
But so I did, and they were all like 7 years old, and everybody saw this playing out, that we've recruited a dude from the stands. I don't know who I was there to see, but it was probably business. And about the third or fourth pitch, I'm like, whoa. You want one more like that, you're the umpire, because I'm out of here. There is no way that I'm putting up with you.
I have a lot of respect for referees out there.
No, stop way.
So my big thing with referees has always been, I just want them to make sure the game stays safe. That was always my number one thing.
And be consistent.
Yeah, be consistent, whether you're good or bad or accurate.
If you're bad, you're bad.
They have to be. My thing is that if you're not, especially in a soccer game, if you're not calling things to protect the kids.
Exactly.
Because that's my first promise back to my parents was always, my goal and our team's goal is, you give me your kid, I'm going to return them in the same shape they came in on.
Because I have a philosophy about all this.
Yes, sir.
They're all exhibitions. They're all just for fun, are supposed to be. The only time it really counts is if you're getting paid. These are fun.
That's not the way people think.
This should be fun. Oh, I know it's not.
But at the same time, I do like the competitive side.
I want to win.
Yeah.
I'm going to do everything I can to win, or in this case, put the kids in a position to win.
Sure.
But if we don't win, it's not the end of the world.
I think what happens is too, right, is that in sports, the kid learns that, I hate to say the word teamwork, but that's what it is, right? Yeah, exactly. They actually learn true teamwork through a sport that they don't really do in school.
That's right.
Right? Everyone hates the group project. And the teacher thinks, "Oh, I'm promoting some sort of dynamics of group communication."
Yeah, no.
It never happens because there's always that one kid who does most of the work.
No, working as a team is the main reason we're here. And if that weren't true, then why do, like my kid, the kids that he played with, especially club ball, they're all buddies. They still communicate with each other. We go to each other's birthday parties.
Oh no,
older kids and. They don't remember the scores. They have no idea. They can remember
Shakespeare
a game.
talks about people who went to war together or a band of brothers.
Exactly.
Right? Which, of course, is what
they don't remember the games. Maybe
and so they're a band of brothers or a band of sisters that went through this experience trying to do something together, and those bonds are strong.
I hope every game, I used to say this all the time, I hope it's 5-4, and the tying run is at the plate at the end. That means we're all learning. We're all pushing.
So the fascinating part of watching sports, no matter what the sport is what can this human do with their particular athletic prowess / mentality to overcome what's going on.
Okay.
Right? In those crunch situations. Whether it's bases loaded, you're down by 3, 2 outs in the 9th, or I got a 1-1 football game or soccer game, depending on what side of the pond you're on, right? What are we going to do as a team to get there? Yeah. That's to me, that's the fascinating part of sports. That's why people like sports.
That's why I like team sports as opposed to golf or tennis or swimming or things like that. I don't hate it, but it's like that's a one. I
married a swimmer, and I can't understand why anyone would watch swimming.
Yeah,
it's all relative. Yeah. It's like it has no.
I like that team dynamic.
Oh yeah.
I played shortstop. I love that. My second baseman.
I was a second baseman pitcher
See?
in my day.
Well, I was a shortstop pitcher. Yeah.
Yep. I did play soft. The senior year, I did play shortstop.
Yeah.
So,
And then I learned I couldn't hit a curveball, and then I learned people could actually hit mine. So I was about 18 or 19. Up till then, it was pretty cool.
So in New York, where I grew up, especially on Long Island, lacrosse was a big spring sport. And our joke as baseball players is right when you got to high school and you figured out you couldn't learn how to hit a curveball, you
Lacrosse
went
is
over to the
waiting.
lacrosse team.
Okay, we're coming back, Chris. We are going
you sure?
to Oh yeah. Hey, Chris, this is your fifth. Now you know podcast.
Oh
with
my
us.
Lord.
It's been fun.
It's
But we're
been
going to
great.
transition. I'm going to tell people
Go
what we're
for
doing.
it.
Is that okay?
Please.
Faith Family School, America's Road Back. Chris DeSimone, in the next few weeks, we're putting this all together behind the scenes.
Yep.
It was a combination of your ideas, and you gave us credit a while ago, but the credit goes to you. Faith, Family, and Schools. That was your baby.
And that comes from lots of conversations with my old radio show co-host, Joe Higgins. And because he's the guy who started all the Lehman Academy of Excellent Schools. And we have this conversation. We have deep dives on faith. We even though we don't do radio together too much, he comes on once in a while, right? We find talking to each other about politics is getting a little boring and the same crap, different day.
Well,
We have deep dives on faith, family, and schools all the time. That's what we talk about.
The politics stuff is just the nasty nuances. Let's get above that.
Well, that's our
Let's
our next episode. Tribalism.
Yeah.
Tribalism.
We may start right there.
That's one of the things. That's,
Hey, guys, thanks again. Local Marana, Live the Dream Medium,
Wake Up Tucson.
Wake Up Tucson. Come again, David. SellToAllen.com, CopperCreekCookies.net.
Wow, what do they do at Copper Creek?
Oh, it's the best. The best cookies, cinnamon rolls. There's a lot of stuff over there.
I know.
Barbecue, spaghetti. We had a big, huge quinceañera in here the other night.
Love it.
I don't know, 115 people.
That's
Good times.
That's a party.
We eat well around here.
I got
My buddy, shout out to Daniel Romero, gave me like a week's supply of salmon for like 7 meals
Wow.
collectively. My buddy Scott down at Cheesecake Factory took great care of us the other day.
Look at
We
you.
had a little birthday party we had.
For your birthday?
No, my sister's.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk about her because she's going to help us with the school big time. Then Vinny and Mark and Hayden for knocking down some major work last week.
Beautiful.
So, hey, thanks again for listening. You know how to get a hold of us. Chris, next time we see you, you're going to be
Family,
wearing
and
the big
Schools.
banner.
We got a
Faith, Family,
banner.
and Schools. We're going to get banners. I've even
Holy
got a
crap.
billboard. I haven't shown you the picture yet.
Show me nothing.
Yeah.
We gotta get some. I'm gonna work on some T-shirt designs
We'll get some
too.
T-shirts. Good to see you, amigo.
Good too.
It's been fun.
I love
Boy,
talking
that
to
was
you.
a fast hour.
It goes like.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, my friend.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, David.
Hey, David, thank you. We out.